Here at Signal Pres, we want our ministry to be governed by a set of values that we call our enduring values. Here's what that means. A couple years ago, our elders went through a lengthy process of prayer and planning with a whole lot of input from you as our congregation to basically ask two questions. What has been the best of the things that have been true of Signal Pres in the past? And what are the things that need to always be true about it going forward? And we took those two and we came up with a set of 5 characteristics. We call these our enduring values, things that we want to guard the feel and the shape of our ministries. Here's the first one, generational investment. Generational investment means that we embrace our place as a church with people of every generation of life, but we have a particular focus upon pairing the older generations with the younger generations for the sake of God's kingdom.
The challenge we faced this past spring was that we just couldn't figure out how to have Vacation Bible School safely. So we did not want to spend the time, the money, the resources with all of the unknowns of COVID-19. Our staff began realizing that there was a huge concern for the oldest members of our congregation. We noticed while we were sheltering in place with our families, many people were alone. We started with an initial goal of connection and hoping for an end goal of relationship. Over 60 families chose to participate in VBS Inside Out this past summer, adopting a grandparent from our congregation ages 65 and older.
Kathy, I was just thinking this morning about how we got to know each other. And I think we were acquainted through working in Bible school for years and years. But we've gotten to know each other through this Adopt a Grandparent ministry. Since your children were assigned to me, I have also gotten to know you as a result. And we have taken long walks every Tuesday morning at 8:45. You learn a lot about someone if you walk 3 or 4 miles and talk together. And I have appreciated so much our relationship.
It has been a wonderful experience, and to be perfectly honest, when we were first talking about VBS and what it would look like this year, I didn't know how it was going to fit into our schedule, how it was going to fit with a teenage boy and a preteen girl, but it has been a wonderful experience. It's been so good to make us think outside of ourselves. When we found out that we were getting you, I jokingly said, "We won the lottery."
No, I won the lottery.
But it's even better than I expected. All the sweet things that you do for our family. You have prayed for us. You stopped by and talked to the kids and asked them about vacations. You're investing in us as much as we're investing in you. And it's been a wonderful experience.
Well, I think our church has been very diligent in trying to develop relationships across generations. And I know when we first visited Signal Mountain Presbyterian, we saw young people visiting with someone the age of their grandparents, and yet they were not the same family. I saw a little girl, 5 years old, come running up to a woman, hug her around the knees, and come to find out that was her Sunday school teacher, and she loved her dearly. So you see many relationships across generations, and I think that's what makes a congregation a family.
So when we think about generational investment, you might think normally about a Vacation Bible School the way it's typically structured, which is 100 or 2 volunteers coming to help kids who are between kindergarten and 5th grade. Well, as you heard this summer, that sort of turned a little inside out, and it meant that kids, along with their parents, actually turned and invested upward into the lives of older men and women in our church community at a time when they needed that human contact and that fellowship the most. So generational investment doesn't simply just mean ministering down and out to kids and students. It can also mean up and into the men and women in our church family who need to grow in grace and faith so that they in turn can then pour their lives out for the sake of those kids, so that when kids or students come, they might experience a kind of community that's a really beloved community, the kind where they can become curious about Jesus because of the love that they've received from people who have had their own lives changed. That kind of ministry takes a lot of investment. It just does. It requires a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of planning, a lot of staff, a lot of funding. And so much of that is given by so many of you. And so when you make those investments, whether you give financially toward it, whether you pour out your prayers for it, whether you serve as someone who works weekly with children or students or a related ministry, you're getting to share in the ministry that Jesus has given you. You get to be someone who welcomes a child or a student in his name, and in so doing welcomes him. And as we sow seeds of his word and water them, we trust in him to give the growth and to bring the harvest at the right time. And so while it is always a risk to invest this way, it is never a waste.